Good morning, everyone. This is Shailesh from NZ World News. As always, we bring amazing people on our show and to talk about all the challenges and the positives that they have come through and gone through. So our channel is all about positive news, positive feedback. So today we have got a very special guest, and I have been asked by many people to actually talk about a topic which is more closer to and many people and can resonate with many people, and that is bullying. Now, we have got today a special guest, Suzy Hazelwood. Actually, she is not just passionate about anti-bullying and advocating about it, but she's absolutely here to make a difference, and she has made quite a bit of changes. And we are going to talk about from her experiences, her challenges, and also how she has turned those into positives. And we are going to talk to her soon. So, without any further delay, we are going to get straight into this show with Suzy Hazelwood, the advocator and very passionate about anti-bullying. Over to Suzy.
Oh, hi,
Good morning,
Shailesh.
Suzy.
Hi, Shailesh. Thank you so much for having me on your show today. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So I suppose you just want me to, I'll just jump straight into it. So yes, my name is Suzy Hazelwood, and just a quick background. I was a postie in New Zealand on and off for 28 years. Landed a gig on New Zealand TV on an infomercial on the Good Morning show, which was an amazing kind of gig for me as I was still postieing. But to get this gig on TV was quite amazing. And I thought it might help my self-esteem because I'd had Bell's palsy, which means it kind of looks like you've had a stroke on one side of your face drops on one side. So I decided to take up the gig of doing the TV adverts on the Good Morning show, 4-minute infomercial, and also TVCs that played throughout the day. Yeah. Over that 8-year period of time, I had no idea how much hate and bullying I would get from women. Now, this is women my own age group, not just online, also in public. Women wouldn't hesitate saying I was ugly, crepey, creepy, didn't need a mask for Halloween, the ugliest woman on TV. One woman, in fact, threatened to blow my face up. Now, logically, I know she's not going to go around carrying a bomb. And I, not going to come up. Yes. Well, who knows, but what I'm saying is the logic side of it, that was very far from happening. But the fact that someone hated me that much for being on a 4-minute infomercial in New Zealand just absolutely triggered my anxieties to the extent that I didn't want to live, and I felt like I didn't belong here. So I carried on doing the ads, even with the abuse. Now, this just wasn't a few times. This was regularly. My husband was Elwood in the New Zealand Blues Brothers show, and they would tour from the top of the North Island to the bottom of the South Island, and I'd go along dressed as a blues sister. And on a few occasions, Dean had to jump off the stage to stop women pushing me on the dance floor. This was because I was the pure as lady. This sounds like the most far-fetched story that this could be happening with adult women in this country. And I had rose-coloured glasses throughout all my life. I thought the world was beautiful, raising 4 beautiful children, a loving partner, to land a gig on TV with no training, just, Suzy the postie, to get so much hate and bullying from women, and it was predominantly women. It changed my whole self-esteem. And I was in my 40s then. I'm now 55, but I want to talk about the effects that continuous bullying has on a life if you survive, no matter what age group.
Yeah. Let me go back a little bit, what you said and how you introduced. What was the trigger point that you thought of this bullying exists, your first-hand experience? Was it at that age, or was it earlier in your life? it happened sometime, that kind of thing that pushed you into protesting, or is it something that you faced when you started that gig? Is that what
It,
it was?
yeah, good question, Shalish, because, we know that our schoolyard bullying is rife,
Mm,
absolutely
yeah,
rife. And I say,
mm,
where are they learning it from? The adult playground.
that's
You're not
correct.
born a bully.
True.
But
Mm,
as a child, I didn't experience bullying really at all. I was a bit of a loner in some respects. I enjoyed my own company. I
mm,
kind of kept out of the bitchy groups, and yeah, I didn't kind of fit in with the whole crowd thing. So I think that's what was the biggest shock, that it was as an adult, having not experienced it as a child, to be
mhm,
so well, I say the word hated. It's
mm.
such a strong word. I know that people that hate on others aren't happy in themselves. We know that. And
Yeah.
I maintain decorum throughout it all, Shalish, because
Hmm.
I believe that in order to stand up to a bully, you don't need to become one, because two wrongs
Absolutely.
don't make a right. You
Yeah.
can't go out and become a vigilante,
Mm,
because then you're just as bad. So I
mm,
carried on maintaining decorum, doing the ads, because I didn't want the bullies to win in the end. But in
sure.
the end, they did win, because at that time they did win, because I was dying inside. Now I talk
Mm,
about this because suicide was never on my radar. I was
mm,
raised quite staunch Catholic. That
mm,
was something that was quite taboo, and I'd never
mm,
thought of it. I was
mm,
happy in my life, but to experience so much hate and bullying as an adult,
mhm,
and to end up wanting to take my life twice, that really hit home to me,
mm,
that something's not right out there. You know what I'm
mm.
saying?
Sure.
I
Yeah.
used to say I might as well be a serial killer off Coronation Street, because,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the kind of dislike I got. Not,
Mm,
not to say that there weren't some wonderful people that approached me and were really
sure.
lovely,
Yeah.
but sadly just say, you know, um, the sadness of it all was that I was just a normal woman doing a job,
Mm,
you know,
mm.
on the TV.
Yeah.
And I talk about, people in the public eye, when you cut them, they bleed. They have feelings too. And I think what happens is when you put yourself out on a platform like TV, people
Mm,
think that you have no feelings and that you're
mm,
just
mm.
bulletproof. And we know
Yeah.
that's not true. Sadly, the loss of beautiful Charlotte Dawson, who also connected with me when I did a documentary about my story on 2020 in
Mm.
2013.
Yeah.
Charlotte
Yeah.
reached out to me, and she left New Zealand also because of bullying. Now, she was
Right.
a supermodel.
Mm.
I was a postie, so quite different,
Two
work
different
experience.
dynamics.
Yeah, exactly. But
Mm,
she really loved, what I was standing for. She said, Susie, don't let the haters get you down. She said, when you put yourself out there and you look good, they want to tear you down. In New Zealand,
mm.
tall poppy syndrome is rife.
Mm. So, do you
Yeah.
think one of the key factors could be, like, as we say, like, there is no silver bullet, like whether you are a star or you are not a star, but it still happens. And when
Yes.
it still
Yes.
happens, which means what I see, that is it jealousy is a factor in your world, in your view, or is it something else that really other more than jealousy? See, we have got lots of jealousies when we are
Mm,
kids, when we become
yeah.
teenagers, and we want everything that others want, others have,
Mm,
and so that kind
sad.
of rivalry is there. But
Yeah.
when you watch someone on TV and someone say that, okay, she's in all over and she's nothing or nobody, and they
Yeah.
resonate with each other, and that's how probably they think, okay, I should be there, not she, or whatever, and then they start
Yes.
bullying, something like
Yes.
that. Do you think
I
is
agree.
it yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes, you hit the nail right on the head, Shalish.
Mm,
The bottom
mm,
line, I got called a plain nobody very often.
right, right,
And I never put everybody's somebody, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
I was just
Mm,
sitting up there talking about a product I really loved, and I was taking the product. So, it wasn't like I was just sitting up there,
mm,
reading something that I hadn't even experienced. And
mm,
they decided to use me as a postie for the ads because they wanted a real woman, whatever real
yeah,
is anyway. You know, everybody's
yeah.
real. I get
Everybody's
really
real.
sick of everybody's real. I really get sick of people saying about fake and not real. Do you know what?
Mm,
We're all real. We're just all on a different journey, and it's sad that
absolutely.
it's so sad the
Mm,
judgment out there. But I do believe that jealousy and tall
mm,
poppy syndrome is rife in this country. If you
mhm,
look like you're doing well, exactly like what Charlotte said, you know, they want to knock you down, and which is
mm,
really sad. But we know that it comes from them, their own insecurities.
mm, mm.
It doesn't make it okay though. Like I say, hurt people, but
Yeah,
it doesn't
true.
make the effect on the victim any less. You know, so
Yes, yes.
um, and it does start in the playground. You know, it does.
It does, yeah, it
Yeah.
does. So, as a child, Susie, you think that wasn't that much when you saw actually in the light of people or light of the public, then it became a little bit evident, more obvious, and more,
Mm.
yeah, more like
Yeah.
obvious to see that happening,
Yeah. Yeah.
basically, with you.
Yeah.
So, I've got a very interesting times that we are going through, and I
Yes.
wanted to ask you, this is going to be quite relevant and resonating with quite a bit of people, and including all that are watching. I believe somewhere they will find this resonation.
Mm.
Is in this during time of pandemic that we are going through, we
Yes.
have got lots of national crises that we have uncovered during
Yeah.
this time,
Yeah.
like child poverty, like homelessness, and then like
Yeah.
human rights, and then entitlement and underprivilege and privilege, and all these things we are talking about now,
Yeah.
when this should have been a normal circumstances. We should be looking after these areas
Mm.
anyway as a
Anyway.
routine
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
However, pandemic doesn't have to tell us that we have to look into this. So
It's,
I wanted to ask you, since you are a very, very strong advocate of anti-bullying, and
yes.
I really want to know from you and your views during this time, all these things like the child poverty and all of that. Do you think bullying is also going to be, should be addressed, and is a concern, and is a grave concern going forward, moving forward, even to move from one end to another end?
Oh, without a doubt, Shalish.
Hmm.
I write a lot of my thoughts on my on my pics. I call it thoughts on my pics. And
Hmm.
one of them was, you know, I really wish I call the bullying that's happening in the world, not just
Hmm.
New Zealand. I call that a
Exactly.
pandemic.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
call that a
yeah.
pandemic that is not being addressed. If we could talk about the amount of lives lost to bullying,
Mm,
we may save lives. We will save lives. It needs
mm,
to be talked about. It's kind of like even suicide is still very much a taboo topic, and we're about talking about
sure.
it because we believe we need to shine light on it. We need to
Yeah.
douse it with light and love. We need to let people know they're not alone in their pain, and that
Mm,
there is hope. And so I'm all about that, Shalish. Look, we have the highest rate of suicide to bullying between 15 and 19 globally in this country.
mm-hmm,
We're second in line to schoolyard bullying and third in
mm-hmm.
line to cyberbullying globally. That's huge
Yes,
for a little
that's
country
huge.
like New Zealand. But on the other
Absolutely.
side of the coin, you know, New Zealand has, of course, brought out the harmful digital act, meaning the cyberbullying act that came out in
Yeah.
2013, which
Mm-hmm,
means you can get a $50,000 fine or 2 years imprisonment. Now, I'm not sure
mm,
how they enforce that, but I do
correct.
believe it's got to put a little bit of not so much fear into people, but at least create awareness that you
Mm,
can't get away with it.
awareness.
Yeah.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
you know, slowly but surely, I see myself as a small cog in the wheel of change, but
Mm,
I needed
mm,
to do something with my voice, Shalish. I couldn't just let
mm.
everything that happened to me and the stories I hear from others be in vain, you know?
Agreed,
Yeah.
agreed. So, what are the things that you think, the areas that currently in this times, difficult times, that you see there is
Mm.
a lot of possibilities of bullying? Like
Oh,
we
with,
are,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, right. Too right.
Like kids, it starts from kids, we understand, because the parents
Yes.
have lost their jobs, or
Yes.
unemployment is increase on the rise. There's a
Mm.
lot of pressure on
Domestic
emotional,
violence.
yeah,
Yeah.
domestic violence and all that, and that
Yeah.
could lead to a lot of neighbor bullying or
Yeah.
school bullying or society community bullying, those kind of things, or peer bullying and colleagues, those kind of things, where we see, because everybody is trying to survive on its own and thrive on its
Mm.
own. And so
Mm.
what do you think in during these times that every single person should take the responsibility, not just the government or not
Of
just the
course.
agencies that are dealing with, but
Yeah.
it's actually every individual. So, what will be your thoughts on that that you see happening during this time
Oh,
that should
sure. Look,
happen? Yeah.
yeah. Well, I look. 2 years ago, a group of us went down to Parliament,
Mm,
and we wanted to talk to the parliamentarians about getting emotional intelligence taught in every school,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
this was 2 years ago, because we see that as a great start in helping our
Mm,
youth, our young ones, to learn empathy and compassion, kindness, love. If
sure.
they're not learning it at home, the next
Mm,
best place to learn it is in the school, and
mm,
we wanted that to be added to the curriculum, and it was
mm,
received with positivity. I mean, nothing's happened from that as such. Like, it
mm,
hasn't become a nationwide part of the. It's not nationwide part of the but anyway, it's not in schools, and
yeah.
but we thought we needed to do more. So as we broach 2020 with what's going on and the
Mm,
uncertainty out there, and the uncertainty of parents, of course, filters down to our young ones.
yeah.
They are sensing everything, and if they don't know how to process it or deal with it, of
Mm,
course, they take it out on others. They act out,
yeah.
So we do need, every single person needs to be responsible and accountable for their behaviour. Everyone,
Absolutely.
we all need to check in
Yeah.
with ourselves as to how we're treating each other. But the bottom line is, it does start in the home, but if they're not learning it at home, it's got to start in school.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
do need more awareness around that at the moment. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So awareness is the key thing anyway.
Yeah, talking about it,
Talking
and
about it
kindness,
and kindness. Yeah.
and it's so cliche to say be kind, and you know that means a lot, but it's just like I was raised, if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say it, and
Mm, mm,
so we need to carry on with those old-fashioned values of just being kind and helping one another. I
absolutely.
agree with you. Don't blame the government.
Mm,
Look at your own, look after your own world.
yeah. Yeah.
Help your neighbours. If you hear abuse
Mm,
going on, get involved. That is, of course, not putting yourself in danger. I'm
mm,
forever shocked that our youth, our children, our babies are getting killed from domestic abuse, and
correct.
neighbours and
Yeah.
family don't do
Mm,
anything, about
sure.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We have to have a voice. Yeah.
Mm, definitely, we have to have a voice. But in terms of like what do you think? Okay, society, community, everything, they have to take the ownership and responsibility. Do you
Yeah.
think there is a need of special law, just like human rights, or there is a special legislation or bill to be passed in terms of bullying? It should be considered as one of the crime or something like that,
Yes.
where it is
Yeah.
harsh. That
Yeah.
people, as you rightly said, not just put to fear, but actually awareness,
Yeah.
and aware that this is all consequences going to happen if this is what going to do.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I do. I do. On the one side, say it needs to be a criminal offence, and it is in New Zealand, especially online bullying. Um,
mm,
but again, we go back. I go back to the fact that bullies and their victims are in pain.
mm,
Happy people don't go around tearing other people down. Happy
mm,
children don't go around being bullies. And
yeah,
so again, we need to, it's that whole of dealing with the core of the fact, not just, saying, well, you've been bad, you need to go to the, naughty corner kind of thing. We need to be helping those, especially our young ones that
Yeah.
are bullies as well, so that they don't grow into being adults that are bullies. Yeah, for sure.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I admire that at least after going through yourself and challenges of you still have overcome all of that. So how did you do that? Like, what was your really turning point of changing negativity into positivity?
Yeah, especially like we left New Zealand in 2011. Our
Mm-hmm.
adult kids stayed here. We wanted them to come, but of course they'd carved their own careers. But they gave us their blessing, and
Mm,
because we, like Dean and I, knew that if I stayed here, I wouldn't be alive because I was so anxious. Even
mm-hmm.
going to the mall, I had severe anxiety for the scrutiny I
Mm-hmm.
got for being on TV. So I was still coming back to do the ads, and we've been back and forth ever since. We live in both New Zealand and Australia. Um, I feel more at peace with New Zealand now, for going public. So I think what the turning point, Shalish, was going public with the
Mm,
2020 documentary in 2013. And I also did a couple of women's weekly articles. Um,
mm,
I got my voice back. I wanted to hide away in a cave because I didn't think I belonged here. I thought the world was pretty
mm.
cruel. And going public could have made or broken me. Even my family were a bit scared of me going public. They didn't want any more backlash on their mum. And
Sure.
but
Mm,
I took the courage to do it, and it changed my world. I heard from some of
mm,
the bullies after the
mm,
documentary. I heard from people that were being bullied. I heard so many stories that I decided to create my own foundation, which was this
mm,
is now named
mm.
Suzy H. Child Advocate Anti-Bullying Foundation. It's just an
That's
online
right.
forum where people
Mm-hmm.
can come and talk openly and freely and safely about their pain. And I
That's right.
wanted something like that when I was going through it, because there's only so much your family can help you with.
Absolutely.
um yeah, so I think my biggest message is that if you are going through it, don't suffer alone. Find
Mm,
someone safe to talk to,
mm,
and
mm.
share that burden, because it
Yeah.
turned my life around talking about it. Yeah, sure.
No, that's good on you. Like you were quite positive and bold enough to actually put
Mm,
it out yourself into the
yeah.
media and the public so that other people can get awareness of that and they can be resonating and help to that channel.
Yes.
So, which was really good on you. I really appreciate that, which was great move by you.
Yes.
So, and here we are now talking today in terms of what your challenges are and what you have faced, but you have overcome all those with the positive outcomes that you became a very successful kind of in your own world of having your own businesses, which is
Yes.
amazing to come out of that dark into the light, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
I think so. Yeah, I just, that's the thing, is rising from adversity,
mm,
and
mm,
that's my biggest thing, is giving hope to other people, because when you
yeah,
get that dark and that low that you don't want to live,
mm,
um,
mm,
you can't see the light, and I want people to know there is light, there is hope.
yeah,
You know,
mm,
and don't feel. I felt a lot of shame, Shalish, that I was getting bullied,
mhm,
and I did. I felt so ashamed, so I didn't talk about it because I felt ashamed. And of
mm,
course, I shouldn't have been ashamed because I was just doing my job. But
yeah.
yeah, it's about losing that shame, and just we all belong. We all deserve to be here.
So, what sort of positive outcomes and changes that you have seen after going through that phase of darkness
Mm,
and then standing on your own feet to continue doing different things in your journey?
sure.
And now you are actually making and at least able to talk and spread those positive vibes and positive news that you had a person, normal person, went through all those things and yet
Yes.
now you have overcome all of that. So how do people now react, relate into you, and they look up to you and they ask you what sort of at the moment the world is yours? Tell me
Okay,
about
well,
that.
I say to people, please don't follow me. We walk side by side, because I am not
Yeah.
in any way a leader. Like I'm just, when I say
No,
just
but you are a
Suzy,
survivor.
I'm a survivor. Yeah, I really am. I'm just, your average woman that landed a gig on TV that copped a lot of flack. That, but
Mm, mm,
I do. The great thing from this, Shalish, is that when I created my skincare range, I started doing Suzy Skin Nutrition. I started doing sisterhood parties. So it
mm,
wasn't
mm,
just about, look good, feel good. It was
mm.
about talking about how we as women treat each other, right
Yeah,
down to, adult women looking at each other up and down, talking like this, and adult women do this, so I create mindfulness around that when I do my sisterhood parties. But doing Suzy H. Child Advocate Anti-Bullying Foundation got me out there as doing guest speaker roles at different
mm,
events. So that's my biggest passion, because I love to talk about my story, but more
mm,
than that, from that, other people come and tell me their stories. So I
mm.
think what you do when you share your story publicly, you give permission
Yeah,
to others to say, you know what, you're not
to
alone.
say,
And the
yeah,
amount of stories I hear, I tell you, it is amazing, because if they're
sure.
sharing with me, then they're sharing with someone, So
Mm.
yeah, it's really quite makes my heart swell. Yeah.
Which also gives a lot of people a perspective of that there is not all dark, there is always a positive, there is always
Yeah.
a light, and you have to always look at the light side rather than the
Yes.
dark side.
Yes.
And people like you who then come along and then actually share their stories, so that gives them a hope and a motivation to actually continue and carry forward. That's what I feel
Yes.
in the current scenario. But so coming back to that current scenario, that what you see now,
Yeah.
as I was telling you and touching you before, that what is the areas that we could see lots of things should be really controlled or should be safeguarded or should be safety? What are the areas that you see in the bullying, as far as bullying is concerned? What areas do you think will really should be looked into it? What are
Sure.
the things that
Yeah. Look, there are some. There's many things that parents can
mm,
do, and a few
mm,
being check in with what your kids are doing online, check in with who they're
mm,
interacting with online. Be present in your kids' lives. I know it
mm,
is a full-on world out there, but the biggest thing I know with kids is that they feel shame, and they also feel they need, if they can talk to mum and dad, they don't want to feel like they're over exaggerating or
mm,
making it up, or there's nothing worse. And I had
mm.
then when you take the courage to talk about your story and someone thinks you're a drama queen or you're exaggerating. Nothing
Yeah,
worse, because it's
yeah,
like kicking you when you're already down. And that actually
yes.
did happen to me with a couple of people I thought were friends. So if your kids can't talk to you, find a peer or family member they can talk to. I think that's
Mm,
the biggest thing, that kids need to be heard, because if they're getting bullied at school, they're coming home and they're online, they're getting bullied on their phones.
yeah,
No
yeah.
wonder they're taking their lives. So
Yeah.
schools need to be more proactive.
More
They really
proactive. Yeah,
do,
that's the word. Mm,
really proactive, because it needs to
mm,
be, just as I say, brought into the curriculum, talked
mm,
about more. And yeah, so, it's the same with workplace bullying. Uh, I have my own story on that as well. I dealt with that myself,
mm-hmm.
as well as dealing with being in the public eye bullying. But the thing is, when you're being bullied at work, your biggest fear is losing your job, if you
Mm,
speak out. So
yeah,
I talk about the importance of taking it further if you are getting to that stage, or leaving that job, because
mm,
do not stay where there is bullying and abuse, because
sure.
yeah,
Mm.
it just changes your whole self-esteem. Yeah.
So you do think like there should be an open dialogue, open, transparent dialogue in the school with the kids. It starts
Yeah.
from the kids to have a program or something like that to be
Yeah.
implemented to get the
Absolutely.
awareness and also get involved and be proactive with
Yeah.
understanding. So just coming on that, which is a good suggestion by you, just coming on that, like, what do you think, how did you dealt with your kids, you being in that shoes already,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then seeing the world that your kids are living in the same world
Mm,
that others are?
yeah. And
uh,
grandkids now. Got grandkids. Yeah. So I
and you
got four
got the
grandkids. So
grandkids.
yes, indeed. And
Mm,
definitely. So for my kids, of course, when they were bullied back in the day, because my eldest is 35 now. So
mhm,
back in the day, if they were bullied, as a mum, and they were
mm,
telling me they were being bullied, I would go down to the school.
mm,
I would either speak to the teacher or I would speak to the child that was
yeah.
bullying.
Mm,
And I
mm,
did it in a way, Shalish, that was done with love. Um,
sure.
and I said
Yeah.
to the bully that was bullying one of my kids, that this is an example. Um, Look, uh, say my eldest Anthony doesn't like the way you're treating him, and he's come home and told me. So I'd like you to really make an effort not to hurt him.
Mm,
And
mm,
I think it sounds really crazy, but it worked. And because not only did that child know that Ance's mum knew, I didn't go down there and bully him, and say, you little shit,
yeah.
don't say that word.
Yeah. So
I
basically,
didn't,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Basically, you just go and talk straight away
yes,
rather than keeping it
yes,
in your mind or holding it,
yes, yes, deal
basically.
with it. But it's how we
Deal with
deliver
it.
the message, Shalish. It's how
Mm,
it's not what we have to say, it's how we say it. And we will
mm,
be heard more if it's done with love and kindness, because
mm-hmm.
these are just children navigating their way through life, and I'm not
Absolutely.
saying, all my kids have all gone down their own journeys, and
Mm,
they're learning their own lessons, and we're always here as a safety net.
yeah.
And I'll just grab this book I got. Oh gosh, I'm still
That's it.
here. I'm still here. I
Yeah.
just want to
Yeah.
grab a book. A book I found. Sorry about this. I'm just trying to get this in focus again. So this is a book I got from the warehouse. Can you see
Oh,
that?
yeah. Kindness. Oh, that's
Yes.
interesting.
Isn't
That's
that great?
interesting
I'm
because,
just going to straighten
oh,
up
yeah.
this. Sorry, I know where. So isn't that
Actually,
awesome?
oh, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. Actually, I'm planning to do a kindness program of 8-week challenge of kindness. One of my
Yes.
friend, Karen Morrison, she is actually planning to do a program on kindness, which we were
Yes.
discussing. A concept
Yes.
is, how do we put this program into school? Like a
Yeah.
8-week challenge weight loss program people have, but let's do a
Yes.
kindness program, in the
Love
school.
it.
So
Thumbs
that's
up.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. So
Yeah.
hopefully we will get that approved and going, but let's see. But yeah, so coming back to that, yeah, that's a good one, because kindness, empathy, and transparency, having a
Yeah.
dialogue is definitely is important in the
Yeah.
current situation and every situation, really speaking, every time.
Yes.
So you deal with it
Yes.
then and there rather than hanging on to it or keeping it afloat.
And
Yeah,
keeping it in, and just the
and
the
keeping it
three
in.
magic the three magic words, Shalish.
Mm,
And I teach. I have my grandkids all the time. I love my little grandkids.
yeah,
And the three magic words: thank you, sorry, please.
yeah,
Sorry if you've done. We're only human. If we do something wrong, apologize.
absolutely,
We're
absolutely
only
agree.
human. We're not out here trying to raise saints.
No,
Everybody's going to, make mistakes, but it's just again how we communicate.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, Suzy, it is definitely a good insights that you are trying to give us, and which is perfect for in the current hard times that everybody is facing.
Mm,
And we do have challenges, and everybody goes through their own challenges. But
yes.
in terms of you, if you want to give some of the key tips to those people who are,
Yeah.
whether they are in work, whether they are finding unemployment, or whether they are finding an employment, or whether they are in the home or in the care or aged care or whatever,
Yeah.
all of these factors, there are issues, and there
Yeah.
are these bullying
Every
plays an
forum.
important part every
Yeah.
forum.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
what are the tips that you would say that, as you said rightly, I 100% can't agree more than that. Kindness, it starts from kindness,
It does.
and it
And
starts.
yeah, it sure does.
Mm,
And kindness to self as to what you
mm.
tolerate from others. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? Like,
yes.
I love the word kindness. I really do. But you've got to be kind to yourself, because, and then you set up your own boundaries. I think boundaries are
Mm,
so important, because
mm,
we don't have to accept everything at all
mm,
that happens to us, and we can stand up for ourselves. But definitely the key points is definitely, talk about it without a doubt. Do not suffer
mm,
alone in your pain.
mm,
With regards to workplace bullying, go to your superior if you
mm,
need to. um, we know that when we speak from our own heart, like by saying, this makes me feel like
mm,
upset, sad, no one can come back and say, no, it doesn't.
mm.
When you get hurt when you express yourself that way, rather than saying, you did
Mm.
this, you did that,
Yeah,
so there's a whole
blaming. Mm.
blaming. The blame game does
The
no
blame
good.
game doesn't. Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't work. It doesn't work, because then the perpetrator retaliates, and then you've got, fighting going on. Um, yeah, so
But
definitely talk to your superior. If it's getting that bad, I do suggest people do leave the workplace where
see,
they're in, because,
yeah.
yeah,
Earlier you mentioned that there has to be a voice for this, and
mm,
we need to have a voice.
yes,
Uh, as far as the workplace or any other, as far as adults are concerned, even though they are adults, they still face this bullying. And the thing is,
yes,
because everybody is different and everybody
that's
has
right.
got compassion level
Mm,
different, empathy
yeah,
level different, and kindness level different, and they have been brought up in a different environment, and probably
yes,
what was the contributing factors for
yes,
their environment. But as an adult, people think that, okay, you are an adult, you should deal with it, or you should be
mm,
able to deal with it, and all that they think. But
mm,
in a way, actually it is not. So
no,
really speaking, adult or children doesn't really matter much when it
doesn't,
comes to bullying. Don't you
no.
think that?
Oh,
Mm,
you really broached on such a good topic,
mm.
because I always say the adult playground is worse than the kids, and where are kids
Oh,
learning
really?
it?
Mm,
And there's
mm.
a child in all of us as adults,
Yes,
not far from the
I
surface.
agree. Yeah,
I'm very much in
yeah, yeah,
touch
yeah.
with the child, in
Mm,
me, in that I love to have a lot of fun and laugh and,
mm.
be a bit silly. But there is that hurt going through, that hurt people scenario. It
Yeah,
doesn't make it okay. And so I think, you know, um, I always think our children are our teachers, because you see how kids interact with each other.
absolutely. Yeah.
Little kids, they
Mm,
they embrace strangers. They embrace little kids they don't even know.
mm,
We can learn a lot from our kids, and which goes back to, getting it into
mm.
schools. I think kids should be doing that. The kids
Yeah,
should be
yeah,
involved with that. Not so much the hierarchy. Because they're so onto it. Our youth, they're so onto it. Yeah.
yeah. Yes. So yeah, so I love your ideas, and I definitely want to, just like kindness should be put into the school. It starts from the school when they are little kids, and they
Yeah.
can be molded to the best of their abilities and skills. They can
Yeah.
really come up, and that compassion should be taught, and when they are
Mm,
little.
mm,
So I 100% agree with your theory of, actually it should be aware in the schools. And
yeah.
so
Yeah.
definitely we might work out a program for it, and I might rope you in in
That
that.
would be, look, honestly,
Yeah,
as full on as life is, Shalish, we talk, always trying to connect, and we,
yeah,
like ships in the night. But I love to be, involved in that, because
mm,
alongside, emotional intelligence,
yeah,
diversity and resilience, I think kids
yes,
need to learn resilience as to how to deal with this world that we're living in
mm,
now. Even now,
mm,
since 2020,
mm,
it's
yeah.
changed again. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Now it will be more, and it's changing every single second, and it's
yes,
really, the dynamics are changing every single moment. So
yes,
we don't know what's next going to happen. So it's also not good enough to just say that, okay, we expect this to happen, but it didn't happen. And then we fall into that trap. But rather
Yeah.
than that, okay, what we do now should be our next moments really
Yes.
affecting. So we got
Yes.
to do it everything now,
Yes.
basically.
Yes.
Um,
And if everybody took that responsibility
mm,
and just focused on love and kindness, what a different world we'd be in, you know.
mm,
I
mm,
know that's far fetched, so we can
mm.
only deal with our own world, change our own world. Yeah.
So tell me something like bullying. One way of bullying is the words or expression or the emotions that we talk about,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
we get so much bounded by that and so much
Mm,
affected by the emotions of others
mm,
that we feel the pain and we feel the hurt and we feel all those stress. But
yes.
in terms of other bullying, like there's a violence or there's a physical
Yeah.
bullying or that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So in terms of that, there are two different types of bullying and different ways of bullying
Yes.
that people do. And people
Yes.
think it's easy or nobody reacts or nobody retaliates, so they think it's all okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
where the issue is, because there is no boundaries in terms of what bullying you call it or what fun you call it.
Yeah.
Some people say
Yeah.
that I did it for fun, or some people they say that I like you going down, or I like seeing you cry, or
Yes.
something like that. This kind
Yes.
of thing happening. What would you say to those? Like kindness definitely is the word, but
Mm.
when some try to cover up or some try to defend by saying
Yes.
that, oh no, he's my friend and I just did it just like
Yeah.
that. What would
Sure.
you say for those? Yeah,
Um,
how do you deal with this? And what would you say for those people who defend like that?
yeah, because that's the thing, like people, it's about again being accountable, but it's not as easy as it seems for a lot of people to actually own that they've
Hmm,
done something wrong.
correct.
Um, I say, back in the day when I was younger, there was a saying,
Hmm.
sticks and stones may break my bones and names will never hurt me. I've changed that to names can break my heart. And I think
Oh,
that
lovely.
when
Hmm.
you touch on the physical abuse alongside the emotional abuse,
Yeah.
both lots of pain is just as hurtful. You know,
Hmm.
people often say to me, Susie, I'd rather be hit than the emotional abuse. Now, I'm not
Hmm.
saying go around that hitting. So, I'm saying that they say that the physical can be
Hmm.
easier than the emotional. Now, they're both absolutely wrong, either
Yeah.
way. But if,
They both
yeah,
they both are impacted
they're
throughout for
both
a
impact.
long time in their journey.
Yes, yes,
And that's where that stigma is there then all the
yes.
time.
It is. I
And
say the
so,
pain runs deep, but it's not far from the surface. And even for myself,
hmm,
I get triggered. I was
hmm,
diagnosed with post traumatic stress disorder in 2014. And
hmm,
I've worked alongside that. I've turned that into a positive. So when I get triggered, it reminds
hmm,
me not to get that low again. So I've turned that into a positive. So, but going back to when you said about with regards to bullies and not owning it, the
hmm,
bullying word is getting thrown around quite lightly.
hmm,
Someone says, "Oh,
hmm,
you're a bully." If you do,
hmm. Yeah.
bullying is when you go out of your way to target and hurt someone.
Yeah.
And also, if it's happening continuously, it's very vindictive and vicious. And everyone's got their own level of emotion as to how they deal with it. Someone can have a joke with someone, and it might not bother them, but someone might be more of an empath and more sensitive and be hurt. So
Hmm,
it is up to the person being bullied to have the voice, because bullies feed off fear. So if we don't talk about it, then they think it's okay and they carry on doing it. So
hmm,
it's kind of like, as someone being bullied myself, I realized that I really needed to stand up for myself sooner, but I think I was just in shock, that
hmm.
it was even happening.
Yeah.
And so I do say again, if you're being bullied, if the bully is too scary to talk to someone else to help you facilitate with that person, because we
Yes.
know that there can be a positive outcome with victims and perpetrators in the bullying arena. Yeah, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
forgave the bullies that contacted me. I sent them a lot of love. I said, thank you
Mm-hmm.
so much for contacting me. You know, I have no
Mm.
malice in my heart.
Right.
I do believe carrying, I wrote a meme and it said, forgiveness doesn't mean putting up with SHIT. It means not
Mhm.
carrying it. So I think when we forgive, we release a lot from ourselves that we're carrying and harboring. It's not worth it, you know? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. So, coming back to all those what you suggested, and it's your challenges that you have shared with us today. It's really amazing to see from an insight of a person who has firsthand experienced this,
Mm,
but then who have stood up against and who have now become a more like a advocator, more protester, and more trying to spread the awareness.
yeah,
um,
yeah,
where do you see now you going through this? And as you know, and as we discussed, like this is the worst time that we are in, that we
mm,
are going to face more and more of this.
yeah,
And we probably are already facing more and more.
yes,
It's just a
yes,
matter of identifying, and just a matter of really how we overcome those, and how we make those people understand that it is not okay to
yeah,
just suffer that way, but actually to raise a voice. So do
yeah,
you think that you should have more of those, more of you people like you come together and actually bring an awareness more to reach out more people? What do you think
yes,
in that space should, if
sure.
you have to?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we do need more people standing up against it in a positive way.
Mm,
On Pink T-shirt Day 2 weeks ago, I went down to Taupo to be a guest speaker down there at the anti-bullying Pink T-shirt Day,
mhm,
um, and organised by wonderful Danelle, and who herself had her own bullying story. And we marched along with positive signposts,
yeah,
you know, kindness, love.
yeah,
Um, and
mm,
we spoke about it to spread to those that wanted to hear, um, that we need to be the change. You know, don't
yeah,
wait for it to
yeah.
happen. We are the
I love
change
it.
right here, right
Yeah.
now. So that's how
Mm,
we can all be there. But getting it out there, you know, for me, I use social media to a positive. I
mhm,
use this positive side of social media.
correct.
If you're online and you see something you disagree with,
Mm,
um, you don't need to jump in and attack. You can
mm,
sit back and process and think, do I need to get involved?
mm,
You know,
mm.
this is where bullying starts, where people are all being right fighters, and instead of being diverse and thinking, guess what, everyone's got their own opinion. You know, live and let live. So you
Yeah,
don't need
yeah.
to jump on board. When it comes to social media, oh my goodness, the amount of people that get into fights, and I think, oh my god, oh my gosh, you know, it's not worth it. But it's their journey, of course. Again, I can only change how I deal with things. I can't change anyone else, but I can certainly be there for others that are alone in their pain, and
Oh,
that's kind of
definitely.
yeah.
If you want to see the change, we have to change ourselves, and
Yes, you
that's
do.
start
Yeah,
from there. So
yeah,
I definitely 100% agree on that.
yeah,
Okay. No, that's fantastic, and I would love to be involved if you need any of those kind of more like-minded. I'm with you in terms of what your thought process is about
yeah.
what should happen in terms of
Sure.
awareness of anti-bullying. Definitely,
Yes.
definitely is a thing, and is a national crisis. I would also put it this
Yeah.
way, and not just a normal ordinary thing that
No.
people have got stigmas forever, and no many
Yeah.
people would have already suffered, and they are still suffering, and they are
Mm.
not letting it out in the public or in the media like you who have done
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I really take my hats off to you to for doing this.
Thank you.
So
Thanks,
now,
Shalish.
thank you so much, Suzy. It's a
Yeah.
wonderful to get your side of the perspective for bullying, particularly, which I consider this is going to grow, and it's growing,
Yeah.
and it's more. And then people
Yeah.
like you are the ones who can prevent, and who
Yeah.
can make it more kind of secured in terms
Yeah.
of like not people going out of their way or suicidal and things like that, or mental stress
Yes.
and getting emotional. emotionally fully charged up, which is not a good sign. Again, it's a burden on the health and everything
Oh,
aspect
it
that happens.
does. Yeah. I
Mm,
mean, just on that note, Shalish, I'll just quickly say,
mm,
you talk about health. My goodness,
mm,
mind, body, and
mm,
soul correlation. And in 2016, end of the year, I woke
mm.
up one day and I couldn't walk. As a
Right.
fit postie, biking, all those, I kept fit, and my legs blew up like sumo wrestlers, and
Mm,
I couldn't walk. I went to hospital and was diagnosed with multiple autoimmune illnesses. Now, that might
mhm.
not have come out until I was 90, but because of the emotional abuse, it actually affected my
Right.
physical. And
Mm,
I managed the autoimmune. I'm walking. I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful I can walk. But that
mhm.
got me to address a whole lot of other things, that just how connected our minds and bodies are, and how we need to look after both mind and body. And so be careful what you say, because, you can think what you like about someone, but the minute you verbalize it, you have an effect. So be careful what you say. Do you want someone else's blood on your hands? And I talk about that a lot, because
Mm.
people don't understand the damage they do. They might
Sure.
think, oh, she'll get
Mm.
over it.
Yeah.
I can say what I like, but man,
Mm.
someone suffers for the rest of their lives at the hands of others. But again,
Absolutely.
I'm
Mm.
walking. I'm not in a wheelchair. I was supposed to be in a wheelchair, and I'm walking.
Mhm.
And so
Right.
you don't have to be a victim to it.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, very well said, and I think you hit the thing. So coming back to that, another positive things that you had with their mind, soul, body, and health
Mm.
when you were talking about, um, you have your own kind of health related or skin related business, which is the called something nutrition of skin nutrition and things like
Yes.
that you have
Sure.
formed. And so tell me something about that, because that correlates, and how it correlates with your mindset of bullying coming
Mm.
out of that, and then
Mm.
actually doing a business related to your mind, bodies, and heart, or whatever you call it, the
Yes.
skin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me something
Sure.
about that. I would love to
Sure.
hear about that.
Yep.
Mm,
Well, as I was a postie, on and off for 28 years in New Zealand, there was no way in heck did I think I'd ever have my own business.
mm,
And but I've always been passionate about skincare, which is how I landed the gig on TV with Pure As,
mm,
the collagen capsules. I've always been passionate about skincare, and so when we left New Zealand to go to Australia, I got a job demonstrating Thin Lizzy, which is a New Zealand product over
right.
here.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
then as I was demonstrating outside of one of the pharmacies, Priceline Pharmacy, I got asked to be a
Mm,
cosmetician in their store.
right.
When I became a cosmetician in Priceline Pharmacy on the Gold Coast, I met some wonderful pharmacists, Jack Hammond and Andrew Agarou. Now, Jack
Mm,
Hammond is a skincare scientist. He was already
right.
making some amazing topical
Mm,
vitamins, peptides, and glycolics, and I was trialing them and I loved them. Charlotte had not long died and taken her own life, and Dean and I were in Byron Bay, and Dean said, Suzy, you love skincare so much, you really should have your own range. And I rang Jack and I said, look, Jack, I'd really like you to create a range for me called, and I want to call it Suzy H Skin Nutrition. And I had no money. So, of course, I had to, I've had to
mm.
borrow a lot to get where I am, but that's all part of a small business anyway. But I
Yeah,
was just
yeah.
so determined to do this business, this brand. And because also when I worked in store, Shalish, I was shocked at the
Mm,
prices of products, and they had
mm,
minute amounts of nothing in them, and they were charging phenomenal prices. So I'm anti-exploitation in the beauty industry as well. So I
mhm.
created a medical grade brand that I felt was a fraction of the cost of other major leading medical grade brands.
Yeah.
So what happens is women try the products and they love it, but they can afford to buy it,
Mm,
and I've met a lot of amazing women on the way. So it's that whole look good, feel good. Um,
mm.
if you love yourself, you're less likely to hate on others kind of thing.
True.
And
Yeah.
when I'd hold the mirror up in store to women's faces, the first thing they'd do would tell me what they didn't like about themselves, which
Mm-hmm.
spoke a lot about their self-esteem. So I would say, can you tell me what you love about yourself? And it was really hard for them, you know. It's even hard
Mm-hmm.
for me, you know. I mean, I
Yeah.
live in, like, someone that goes around telling everybody else to do it. I'm my
Yeah.
worst critic. We are to ourselves. So it's a matter
Absolutely.
of, you know, let's stop
Mm.
punching our own lights out and just love ourselves, you know. Easier said than done, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, no, that's coming out of that whole darkness and you
Mm,
creating this whole world, a new world, with all
yeah.
the positives that we're going through and all
Yes.
at that time, and
Yes.
overcoming that is really inspiring because not many people would have come out of those woods when you are into that situation,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
particularly thinking outside the box or outside the square, that like,
Yes.
no, I
That is
want to
hope.
do something of your own, and
Yes.
then making it actually happening and reality. So it was not about whether you will get success or not at that point,
No.
but it was just
No.
about, I want to do something
Yeah.
that can really please you or love yourself,
Yes.
as you said, and which you did
Yes.
it for that. But now today, here you
That's
are,
it. Yeah. Yeah.
which is fantastic range of products that you got in that, isn't it? For
Yes.
people to explore and people to explore about themselves on through this product. So is this product or products are all Australian based? And they are that, as you were saying.
Yes. Well, it's handcrafted in a lab on the on the Gold Coast.
Hmm. Okay.
I'm a very small company, very small business, as you say, as you mentioned and touched on. I wasn't about success. I
Mm-hmm.
was about using my voice and rising out of that hole I was in to do something that I'm passionate about. And
Mm-hmm.
just touching on that, also, when I started the range, I said, oh, when I get big, I'll give all proceeds of my coconut oil to helping those in need. And I thought, no, I'll start right now. So ever since the beginning of my company, which started in 2014, I've given every cent of my coconut oil to helping those in need. And I'm ambassador for Feeling Fab, which is an organisation founded by my friend Elizabeth York. And what we do is we pamper women going through grief. So we host Pamper Days once a
Right.
month in Auckland, and we pamper women who are going through hard times.
Yeah.
So I give all proceeds of my 100% certified organic coconut oil to helping Feeling Fab, so that we
Oh,
can
great.
sponsor women to get help if they're feeling alone in their grief. Yeah, so it's a win-win, and I get a lot of I get great vibes from doing that, you know,
Yeah.
makes me feel
You get pleasure
fantastic.
out of that.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
definitely. No, I think coconut oil is very much popular in many, many Asian countries as well. And
Yes.
I know for the fact,
We learned from them. Yeah.
yeah,
We
I know for the
especially,
fact
yeah.
that I grew up with coconut oil,
Yeah.
eating and
Yeah.
putting on. So no, it's one of those greatest vitamins that it has got and all the best ingredients it has got.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good to see that you are actually promoting the right product.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Oh, without a doubt. You know, also
Mm,
my range is cruelty free and no parabens or sulfates. Again, you know, just about and keeping it simple. You know, you don't need everything.
yes.
It's just it's really
Yeah.
wonderful what the amount of wonderful women I've connected since creating the brand Suzy H. Not just
Mm.
anti-bullying, but skin nutrition as well.
Skin
Yeah,
nutrition as well. So you
yeah,
got both the worlds now,
yes,
anti-bullying and also skin
and
nutrition, which
skin.
is good.
So yeah, it's interesting, and I think as I mentioned, you know, being called a plain nobody so many times on TV for being on TV, and you know, being me, just being me.
Mm, mm,
Um, I turned into, I found deep inside somebody that, you know, everybody's somebody. We're all somebody. Nobody's a plain nobody. Nobody's a
correct,
nobody, you
correct.
know. And so, but being called that turned it round into me thinking, you know what? I can do anything I put my mind to, you know.
Mm.
And I wanted to be the oldest postie in New Zealand. I wanted to be a postie, you know, but that was not to be. I was meant to go on this journey and do what I'm doing, just as you are, Shalish.
Yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
happens without a
Yeah,
reason.
true.
And there's, I believe, so much in synchronicity, you know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yes, yes, I 100% agree with you,
yeah,
Suzy. Now it's wonderful to actually talk to you and have a conversation with you on various levels, but particularly more anti-bullying and
yeah,
bullying is a topic where, as you mentioned earlier, back in about 7, 8 years ago, also you
mm,
had faced, and today we are still talking about, today we are still
yeah,
facing, and
yeah,
we are just hoping that it will go one day. And
yeah,
that's what my message would be. What will
yeah,
be your last message in terms of to everyone, not just to the people, but also to the stakeholders, to the agencies who are dealing with this kind of bullying? And what would be your message to them as to move forward and to make it a
mm,
positive change for
mm,
this situation that we are in, so that our kids, our adults, our age old population, anywhere, everywhere, can really come to terms of some sort of normality or harmony or
yeah,
kindness, as you said. We have to
yeah.
show that. So what would be your message, last
Well,
message?
I mean, I have so many messages, but you know, I wrote
You can.
a meme, and I write my thoughts on my photos, and one being, you know, it's hard enough to survive, let alone succeed. So
Correct.
be kind.
Mm,
That goes right down from whether you are an employer or an employee. It
mm,
goes right down to whether you are a nurse, a doctor, a lawyer, a postie, um,
mm.
you know, any job you're in,
Yeah.
children. It just goes right back to everybody's trying to survive in this
Mm,
world. We're all
mm,
winging it, and so we need to again think about how we would like to be treated and adopt that into how we treat others. You know,
true.
and right back to, if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say it. And how we
Mm,
say it is going to be
mm.
whether it's being heard or not. You know, how we
Yeah,
speak, the words that come out of our mouth, no matter
sure.
where we are, right down to going into a store and
Mm,
approaching, you know, the lady at the counter, right down to the supermarket, right down to who we walk past in the street. What energy do we want to give off, you know? And
mm,
we're
mm.
responsible for that. Yeah,
Well said, well said. Yeah.
yeah,
So our word and our
yeah.
mouth and our words are
Oh,
important,
yeah. Very.
very
Yeah,
important to
yeah,
say what we have to say at what time, and how we, as you said, like how we say it and how we
yes,
present it is more important.
yeah,
So, and that comes with inbuilt inner kindness that we should have.
yeah, yeah. And if it starts young, it's inbred in you throughout your life. Like,
Mm,
doesn't mean you're
mm.
not going to make mistakes. It doesn't mean you're not human. I always say, even a rabbit, when it's cornered, is going to attack. So again, you know, if we want to be heard, speak in a way that we want to be heard. You know, yeah.
Yes, yes,
So
well said, well said. Thank
yeah.
you very much, Susie. It was a
Thank you, Shalish.
wonderful, and it was wonderful and good pleasure actually to talk to you and get your some of the key insights. And I wish all the listeners here would be definitely resonating with some or the other. And if they had questions, they can always send to us and talk to us,
Yes,
and we can
yes,
give them your advice and we can
sure.
relate to that. That would be good.
Sure, if they want
So,
to contact me through Suzy H.
mm,
Child Advocate Anti-Bullying Foundation, or email
sure.
me.
Yeah.
And I also just, of course, I love everything you're doing, Shalish. When we spoke on the phone, I just resonated with it all. It's like that connection. And I want to thank that amazing Ivanka for connecting us. She's an
Yes. Yeah.
inspirational woman,
She
an
is
amazing woman,
actually.
and
Yeah.
a very good friend of mine. But I'm very grateful and blessed
Mm.
to know you both. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
No, no, no. Thanks very much. And I should thank Ivanka. Basically, she's very, very, very on to it,
Yeah,
and
she's amazing.
she's doing some wonderful work for you as well,
Yes.
I believe.
Oh,
So,
she is. Yes.
so definitely we will keep our cross paths, keep crossing. So,
Yes.
but no, I would definitely love to get you involved once again. Thanking you, and once again, if I get involved with the schools programs,
Yes.
then definitely I would like you to get your insights and input
For
to have
sure. Yeah.
expertise, and we might probably run a program that could
That would be
really
awesome.
create an
Yeah.
awareness
Yeah.
which is more required now. So
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
no, that's
I'm on
great.
board. Yeah. Thank you, Shalish.
Thank you very much, Susie, once again for all your work that you are doing and all the business and all the contributions through that business that you are helping women and other women entrepreneurs and making them just like helping Ivanka and other people. But it's
Yeah.
really wonderful to see that we have people like you who have come out of the woods and yet doing the great work that you are and that people can actually become and as a
Mm,
role model
mm,
basically. And we need
yeah.
more and more people like you to share the stories on our news channel so that
Yeah.
we can actually bring to the people more positives, more
Yeah.
positive feedbacks that we could get.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate your time and thank you once again, Susie.
Thank you, Shalish. And thank you
Say,
so much, NZ1 News, for having me. I would definitely like to be involved with more of your programs and conversations about, especially anti-bullying and the kindness message. Thank you.
yes. Yeah, no, that would be great to bring you back again with all
Yes,
positive vibes.
sure.
So once again, thanks very much, Susie.
Thank you,
Take care.
Shalish.